Revamping World of Warcraft. What would Azeroth 2.0 look like? That's a good question.
What would a modern Azeroth look like today after it's been revamped? That's the question a lot of people are asking, and the question we're going to talk about today. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Questline Talks in front of a shitty green screen. Now, I already made a video called Is Azeroth
It's actually
Getting
tough
Revamped?
to set this one up,
and
right?
I do think it is, as well as many other people that you've probably seen on YouTube.
I wish I had a green screen.
So, you know, spoiler for that video, I do think it is. But I want to talk about how it's going to get revamped and how I think it'll get revamped and what I'd like to see in a revamp, right? And so some of it's the realistic ways I think it'll get revamped, and some of it's kind of what I hope is there after it's been revamped. So let's jump right into it. But first, I want to give a shout out to the channel sponsor, Zygoor. Zygoor's got retail WoW, classic WoW guides, gold farming guides, pet guides, mount guides. They got it all. I've been using them to level in classic hardcore as well. If you want to check it out for free, use my link in the description. And if you enjoy it and want to upgrade to an elite subscription, you can use code questline for 20% off. So the first thing I would love to see is the completion of the Booty Bay construction, because they have been working on Booty Bay for 13 years at this point. It's actually gone on longer than like numerous real-life construction projects, which is impressive because those last quite some time. But like,
wow, a revamped Booty Bay. I think there's a lot of potential here. If we look at like all the modern things we have, and oh, I have a good example. If you look at like the Tusker places, right, on the Dragon Isles. Like if it kind of like gets those kind of textures just with a more orange and warm tone, you could actually use some of the stuff if you like recolor it and use it for Booty Bay as well. I think, right? Yo, I actually think, yeah, Booty Bay has a lot of potential for a revamp. Like they can make this look so great.
if you go there, the goblins are just still working on it. It's like, you got to go up and be like, dude, it's been over a decade. Like, what are you doing? Who's paying you now? It's crazy. And so I would actually love to just see the finished product. Like, if they're working on it for this long, it's got to be good, right? I don't know what they're going to have there. Obviously, there'll still be a bunch of pirates walking around and
stuff. Be law-friendly, too.
A finished, completed Booty Bay would be fantastic. Next up, I think 1,000 Needles Shimmering Flats return to the classic version is next on my list. I would love if the 1,000 Needles was all dried out again, right?
Yes.
I think it'd be cool. Maybe the water being there and then going away has done something, you know, maybe.
Like, what would be cool here? I think this has potential. So there will be several lakes and parts that have still water. And there are parts that are completely dried out. How about that? How about there are a couple of holes or like maybe some sort of underwater caves that exist in this zone, right? Where you have like the small lake, but you can actually dive and go deeper and there's some sort of underwater cave or something. And you have like those spots where there's still a bit of water, but more than half of it is completely dried out and you can just walk normally in most places. And then there are like some new camps and buildings, perhaps like some races or people that have set up there some sort of base or camp that were not there before in the classic era, right? I think this is definitely possible, and there's also some potential here because it has been quite a while since the Cataclysm, and I'm sure like certain places have changed, and there are some places that started growing right from the Cataclysm because there was suddenly water. How about we have now some places be some sort of jungles or forests because of the event of Cataclysm? Like those areas that already started growing a bit, but now they have grown more. And the plague lands, they need to be green again. Because what are the Cenarian Circle doing there? They are constantly freaking using druid magic, right? Like nature magic to regrow trees and grass and flowers and all that. But we don't see that still, right? Even though it has been a couple of expansions. Even there they need to do stuff.
Maybe it's not as dry. Maybe there's some more plant life. I don't know. I'm not a geologist, weather scientist.
Yeah, it would make sense, some plant life.
But I do think, you know, the land has probably changed. Maybe there's some erosion happening. Maybe there's more like winds and twists in 1,000 Needles. But I think the actual Shimmering Flats should be created back to the way it was, and the raceway returns. I would love if they brought back the Mirage Raceway.
Yes,
and it was
new
like
version.
Decked out, man. They had like actual gnome versus goblin races. The kind of like how they have like snail races and stuff now. You can go there. They're like zooming around. You would like get toys and stuff there. You could take part in races, watch the races. You could have people race against each other.
Yeah, just like dragon races,
cool. Just
but
bring
on the
back
ground.
the Mirage Wasteway, the Wasteway, and like
Raceway.
just make it fully functioning, like 100% raceway with gnomes versus goblins. I think that'd be sick, and I think it'd be really fun. Next, I would go Tanaris.
I agree.
So Tanaris, I think, could go back to being a bit more like a full-on desert and less like it's being taken over by water. I don't know if the water would actually take over more of it over time or how this would work technically, but I like Tanaris more when it was, you know, just more of a desert and less of like a weird flooded desert. I don't know what it is now, but I prefer the old version. And I think it'd be cool if it became like a pirate territory, right? Because there's like always these pirates all around in Tanaris. And so maybe, you know, it's more deserty, but the pirates have kind of taken over. And maybe there's still the trolls down there with Zulf Rock, and those trolls have started expanding as well. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of...
Or make the Sand Trolls finally a true allied race. Like, some people are already arguing, wait, but you have the Sand Troll skin for the Darkspear Trolls, right? But you're not really a Sand Troll. You don't even have Sand Troll ratios. That would be so cool to get Sand Trolls as an allied race. And perhaps, like, something also for the Alliance. Wait, well, what can I think of that is, like, missing on the Alliance? Some kind of, like, not like elf, but... maybe another version for humans or something. Like Kultirans, but a skinny version of the Kultirans. Maybe some sort of split faction from them or something. Because that would be also really nice, right? But definitely like Sand Trolls as an allied race, that would be so cool. And they have like some unique ratio that's different from the Darkspear ones, right? Because I don't think the skin is really enough. Like, even like it's way cooler now to play a red Draenei, a Manari, right? Or like the dark purple one. Because if you now use, for example, Gift of the Naru as a Manari Draenei, you get actually this sort of fell sort of glyph on your forehead. And the cast is green, actually. It's not like holy mage, it's not yellow, it's freaking green. And that's actually a secret. So if you have unlocked the Manari customization with seeing red, the achievement, try to cast Gift of the Naru and look at the animation, the color, and what you get on your forehead, and you will see this is so cool. And I wish actually you had this with the Darkfawn skin, and if there was at least like an option for the Darkspear Trolls, if you pick the Desert Troll sort of skin, that maybe you get like some unique sort of ratio. Like, that would be actually cool to have sub-allied races, or like some sort of customizations within a race that actually change something. It doesn't need to be the stats, but just like maybe the animation itself or something. That would be so cool.
Cool things you could do with Tanaris and a lot of fun storylines you could play around with, but I think and it'd be cool because like they obviously talk about pirates and stuff, right? So maybe this can lead more into a pirate themed expansion, you know, and Tanaris becomes like the pirate hub. I think
it's too small for an expansion.
Tanaris, but it's got more desert, more pirates, and more trolls. Next, I would love if the Barrens returned to more of a savanna-esque state. So more of like the, you know, African savanna, right? Or is it savannah, whatever. It doesn't.
Savannah, I think.
Because questing through there in Classic WoW made me realize how much I love old Barrens and how chaotic the post-Cataclysm Barrens is, right? There's like a lava crack in the middle. There's like a war going on in the south. The north is like still kind of the Barrens, but like,
he means there's too much
like
green here. Yes, I see
like
what
all
he
over
means
the
now.
place. And so I preferred when it knew what it was. It was barren. It was dry. It was barren.
Yes.
There's like lions and hyenas and you know, plain striders and zebras walking around and raptors.
Just like in South Africa, basically.
And you had a little part with like the centaurs and all the stuff. And I think it'd be cool if they played more into that, right? Like maybe go full centaur, right? Or maybe go
send us some new models now.
With Ratchet now, and it expands out where like pirates are getting closer to Ratchet. I know they're, you know, near there. I feel like there's a lot of fun ways you could actually go back to making the Barrens feel a bit more barren. Although now they have northern and southern Barrens, but I mean that shouldn't really stop anything, especially if they start combining a lot of zones, like I thought they would when I talk about it in my Azeroth getting revamped video. Next up, I think Azshara picking a direction is what I wrote down. So obviously back in Classic WoW, it was a very kind of autumn-esque foresty magical type of area, right? There wasn't a lot going on. It felt unfinished because I think it was unfinished. But that actually gave it this sort of mysticism and kind of, you know, mysteriousness about it that I thought was really cool. Then we get the post-cataclysm, and it becomes very industrialized, and it kind of took away a lot of the magic and fun that I really enjoyed with Azshara. And so, I mean, as the goblins do, they're like, we're drilling.
I think they will make Azshara even more industrialized, because if you look at what they're doing right now there, the goblins, like this will be even way bigger. There will be more buildings, there will be more other constructs, maybe statues and whatever. So I actually think it just can get worse, not better there.
For oil here, you know. So I
look at the goblin starting zone. It's probably going to look like that over time.
Maybe the forests and magic and stuff have kind of overtaken the goblins and pushed them away.
No way, impossible.
Maybe, you know, there's more like Naga here. Maybe,
okay, Naga makes sense.
Just
maybe yeah,
more elves or night elves have come back. Like, I don't know, it's just something, right? And then, or you could go the other way, right? Maybe goblins have completely destroyed this place. They've, you know, ripped it of resources. They've chopped everything down. You know, just I feel like it's got to be one or the other, right? We can't just sit in this like weird hybrid state of like what's going on. Like pick a direction. Maybe they finish their big raceway going around.
Over.
Or you go the other way. Maybe the race they stop building.
You know what they should do? And I tell you guys why. And we see this now with Undercity, the letter for Gilneas. I think each race that freaking exists, even allied races, they should have a real capital city. So for the goblins, they should get Azshara as like even a bigger place and make this actually feel like it's the new goblin capital city, right? So they add more buildings, more stuff, put some interesting NPCs, new achievements there, and toys and whatever, maybe transmogs you can farm. The Mecha Orcs, they should get maybe the Barons. I think it would make sense if Barons becomes their home for the Mecha Orcs. Because they are like brothers, right, of the green, the Fel Orcs, right? So it would be cool if the Barons is given to the Mecha Orcs and they have their outpost or stronghold or something. Because isn't there like some hostile orc sort of area, right? Where you have like orcs that, are they from a dragon maw or something if I'm not mistaken? There are like some orcs that are hostile. Maybe their place is taken over by the Mecha, and there are like some additional buildings, maybe some sort of castle-like structure. And this is the new home for the Mecha Orcs. Azshara goes to the goblins. I don't know, maybe 1,000 Needles. Could this be for the Vulpera or something? But they're like with caravans and stuff, right? I don't know. Or they go there together with the Mecha Orcs to the Barons. Because the Barons kind of like fits also the caravan theme, right? But it would be cool to see that some of the allied races that don't have a real city right now. I'm talking about the Mecha Orcs, for example, the Vulpera, right? Wait, what do we have actually on the Alliance that doesn't have like a real city? The Void Elves, right? Yeah, Void Elves need a real home, not just this kind of space-like place with a few floating rock islands. That's not like even big enough to even build or anything interesting. So yeah, the Void Elves, the Mecha Orcs, the Vulpera, they are in need of a real home, actually, like a real city. So they don't really have that. Like even Vol'dun for the Vulpera, like what is this? This is like tiny. Either they extend this and give them a bigger home there with like more Vulpera, like a higher population, or they give them a new place. But definitely Mecha needs a home, a real home.
In the raceway, something happened. It's like overgrown now. Like I think there's some really cool directions you could pick, but you gotta pick one. Next, I think I would love updates to Mulgore, Feralus, and Hinterlands, but like really small updates. So you know how
could do a lot of cool stuff to the Hinterlands.
I would love that style of update to Mulgore, Feralus, and Hinterlands. I would love if they just kind of modernize those zones a bit.
How would the Hinterlands
look like? New assets. You know, maybe polished up some things here and there. But honestly, I like the zones the way they are. Obviously, I think they would add new quests and some updated stuff depending on what's going on. But I think an Arathi Highlands style update for those zones would be cool, and maybe for a lot of zones, because I mean we've seen, I think a lot of people bash BFA for like war fronts and stuff, right? But if you actually look at the new zones of like Darkshore and Arathi Highlands,
they look nice.
They did really good jobs updating the zones and giving them a modern feel while keeping that classic style. And so I
yeah,
think
I like it too.
that's what I'd like to see for a lot of these
I
zones.
love coming there to
just
farm mounts.
modernization, but keeping that classic feel. And speaking of Darkshore, I think it'd be cool if they started building Darkshore back up. Like, we already now have a base for Darkshore, right? Or, you know, a foundation, not like a base. Maybe the Night Elves have started building back up there, right? Maybe they got the dock is back up. Maybe they got some smaller cities. Maybe they're...
That makes sense. Also, there's peacetime now, right? Like, even Blizzard talked about it. They want to maybe like completely end the conflict. I'm not sure if they're ever gonna spark another conflict between the Horde and the Alliance. But from what I'm seeing right now, it's like we are shifting towards peacetime, right? And we have like cross-faction guilds, this and that, like cross-faction groups. So maybe the conflict is completely over. And what would that mean? That would mean that certain zones get like a new potential. Like I said, Gilneas is no more being attacked by the Forsaken. So the Worgen can get back to Gilneas and fix it and all that. We have like a cool modern city there. Plus, I really love Gilneas. I think this is such a nice zone. I love this kind of Halloween vibes, this sort of dark vibes you get when you go there, right? It's kind of spooky there. I love this. Like, when I first actually went to Gilneas to play as a Worgen, I looked at the zone. I was like, yo, if that was like how the Forsaken actually lived, like, what is if the architecture, the buildings, everything from Gilneas was actually Forsaken? It would match them so well. Like, I was actually surprised that this was like for werewolf people and not for like undead, right? Because it has like spooky Halloween sort of vibes. It gives you also witch vibes, kind of, right? And then again, they are witches, right? Like, aren't like Worgen druids considered witches? Like Harvest Witches, I think was the name, right? So yeah, it's kind of spooky and I love this. I hope we can get back there too. Like, the Undercity is already cleansed of this poison gas, right? So I wonder what they're gonna do with like certain zones.
You know, doing
There's
something
lots of
like
potential
maybe just
there.
something where Darkshore starts feeling like the Darkshore of old, and they've, you know, began, you know, building it back up, because that's just what happens, right? I mean, look at Booty Bay. They started building it back up. They haven't finished yet, but you know, if enough time goes on, things are gonna return to normal or even bigger than what they were. So I think building back Darkshore would be cool. And speaking of being up there, I think Moonglade taking on a bigger druid feel would be really really cool. Like,
yeah, makes sense.
We have so much druid stuff and Emerald Grove and Dream and all this stuff going on.
The next big update is about it.
Moonglade kind of feels like a town with a big moonlight. It doesn't really feel very druidy to me.
Yeah, not
and
too
so
close
I think
to nature,
maybe
right?
a Moonglade
So
revamp, not a big revamp, but just making it feel more like
wild.
It's a druid home. You know what I mean? I think that would be a pretty
updated
cool thing.
textures,
just, you know,
for sure.
Building, you know, they wouldn't have to do a lot. They already have a lot of the assets. I think just adding in a lot of those assets to Moonglade would make it feel a lot better. Then
they have like a lot of models for like, I think, bridges and other stuff too that they have developed for the Emerald Dream, right? They could take stuff with like higher resolution textures out of there and put it there, I think. Because I see like a little bit of the zone, right? Because they showcased it. And there are like new models and stuff also for like buildings, right? Architecture wise. Maybe they can use some of those. Yeah.
Moving down a little bit, going to Winter Spring. I think I was trying to figure out how
Spring's
Winter
actually
Spring would change
cool zone
from what it currently is. And maybe it either gets more snow. Maybe there's like a bunch of climate things going on in the ocean and Dragon Isles, all this stuff, and it makes it snow even more in Winter Spring. Or maybe it goes the opposite, and a lot of the hot springs start melting the snow, and it gets a little more like primal looking, but it wouldn't be like full on Gorgon or something, right? But a little more Gorgon than it is now, like less snow, more like mountainous, and you know, a bunch of like hot springs. All I don't know, but I do think it'd be cool to, you know, have a bit of a Winter Spring mix up. But I actually think more snow and like a...
Or what if the mecha moved to Winter Spring, like the Frost Wolves, kind of? I mean, that's actually tough. Like, there are some zones where I always think maybe some of those allied races that don't have a home yet, like the mecha, could also be living, right? Like, sometimes I think about the Barrens because it's like close to like Orgrimmar, right? And orcs are usually like in the Barrens and in Durta. But what if actually Winter Spring was for the mecha or something? Or maybe the Vulpera. Yo, there are like so many options. Actually, I think Blizzard could do anything and it would make the world even better. Like what Querendor is like mentioning here. Like, it's actually, like, there's some really good ideas he has. I've also, like, quite a lot of ideas, and I feel like what Blizzard should do is, like, they should gather up all the ideas from their team, from, like, us creators, make, like, some sort of list. They have, like, a meetup where, like, every single employee, like, responsible for, like, design and stuff, they're actually voting on the ideas, right? Like, they make a list. They make, like, maybe 3 ideas for, like, Winter Spring. Mecha base, PvP zone, perhaps like we bring the Volpera there or something, and then do like some sort of voting or something, or maybe like a Dark Iron Dwarf outpost there. Same with like the Thousand Needles. Should we like completely remove the water? Should we partially remove it? Should we have like the Barrens dry out again? Should we add pirates to like, I don't know, maybe Tanaris? Like they can do some sort of voting with ideas, and then they decide like what they're gonna do, because whatever they do, this will bring new content. And this will also help like all players to have like a cool experience again if they, let's say, level an alt there, right? And they do like a quest line there. Or maybe they're going on their main there to farm for some sort of achievement.
A weird climate thing would be a lot of fun as well. Then we go down to Silithus. Remove the sword.
Yes, please.
Just remove the sword.
Yes.
Everybody wants the sword gone. It's still there.
It's pointless.
It's gotta go.
Yeah. Well, what's the story behind
and
this?
then
Yeah.
you know, Silithus can just go back to being
like this sword. Like yeah, it has a story behind it with Sargeras like stepped it, but now there's no more story attached to it, really, right? Like what have the current events to do with this sword, and what's the point of this sword? If there's not a whole expansion or update about like what this sword is going to do now or what it is, because this was big for BFA, right? Because with the Azeroth this and this, but now what's the point of this sword? Either this gets a big update where this matters for a big expansion and is about the sword, or it just gets removed because it's like pretty pointless, right? Plus, it messed up such a cool zone. Like, this was a zone that was like a insect place with like monstrous, mutated, like old god influenced big insects, right? And this was so freaking cool. But now it's like such a boring zone. Actually, I feel like maybe this from all the zones is to me the most boring zone in WoW now. Because there's nothing cool. There's only this giant sword. You see it once and you're like, whoa, a giant sword stuck in a planet. This is so incredible. It's unbelievable. And you're like, oh, whoa, like your eyes get big. You're surprised, like, what the heck's this massive thing here? And then you come back there a second time and you're like, oh, this zone is boring. I'm out of here. That's like how I feel. And I'm pretty sure like most of you feel the same way. So yeah, they need to do something about this.
Bugland. I don't know what they'll do with
it.
Maybe
such
make
a boring
it more
zone.
like an archeology dig site location. Maybe revamp
I don't think this will
archaeology
solve
profession.
the issue with the zone.
No, didn't sell it this, you know. Maybe just more bugs and
the
maybe
bugs
Ungoro,
return.
maybe dinosaurs start getting in. I don't know how the dinosaurs haven't gotten to Ungoro at this or to Silithus at this point. You would think they'd just start being like, "Hey guys, look over here. It's like a crazy bug desert. What if we just go like walk over and start eating them?" Maybe the dinosaurs of Ungoro start eating the Silithus bugs, start clashing. I don't know. Next, we got up here, which is Lordaeron. I know the Undercity went through the whole thing. It like got evacuated.
Oh, yeah.
It got raided. Like,
that's the Forsaken are a cool race.
Maybe the Alliance have actually moved back up there and taken it over, and now they've restored Lordaeron. I think that'd be a lot of cool.
No.
Really build it up.
Like, this needs to stay with the Forsaken. Like, come on. The Forsaken, they have nothing. They only have the Undercity. That's why I keep saying, like, each race needs their home, like their real home. The mechers, the mecha orcs, they no longer have theirs because they, like, kind of, like... Did they time travel? No, they just dimension traveled, right? Like, from one alternate timeline to the other, but at the same time, I think, right? So, no, Undercity should stay with the Forsaken. But it should get a rework and there should be cool Forsaken outposts. And perhaps what they could do is, like, maybe humans, or at least like some outposts from the Alliance could be also in Tirisfal and they're friendly with the Forsaken. And maybe you can do like quests as a human where you actually help the Forsaken with something and you like have made peace with your, let's say, relatives or Forsaken friends, because I think the faction was like kind of over anyway, right? So there could be like one corner that is maybe for like a human camp or something, or some race. Maybe some Nightborn outpost or something, and they're like helping the Forsaken or something.
But I think it'd be cool to make Lordaeron, and then you'd have Stormwind down
that's
here,
Nias.
Lordaeron all the way up here, revamped, and then if you go to Kalimdor, maybe they can get a new capital over here, but like they don't really need it. I mean, everyone just goes to Orgrimmar, Thunderbluff, or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter, or just the capital of whatever's happening. It'd just be Orgrimmar. But I do think having a Lordaeron capital would actually be pretty sick. Especially because they've always talked about it, like, oh, it's the ruins of Lordaeron, and now, like, below Lordaeron, the Undercity's all broken. And it's like, well, how about they rebuild Lordaeron? That'd be pretty sweet, right?
Yeah, but for undead, please.
I don't know if they'd actually do that, but I do think it'd be cool. And then the final thing that I thought of, there's plenty more that you can do, but the final thing I would really love to see again is Stranglethorn Vale becoming more jungle and less of, like, cataclysmic whatever. Like, there's
less pixelated, better textures, please.
All right, we can stop that, and we can go back to being, you know, more of a jungle, right? I think a lot when people think of Stranglethorn, they think of getting lost in this jungle.
Yo, there should be there should be actual friendly troll cities. It doesn't matter for the Darkspear, like trolls that we can play, or for the Zandalari. Wait, there were like a lot of Zandalari there, if I'm not mistaken, right? As Stranglethorn. I was doing like some quests. I think I read about Zandalari a couple of times stuff. Yo, there should be like modern buildings for like Zandalari trolls or something, right? Or for like Darkspear. Because the Echo Isles are kind of small, right? They're like a bit of a joke. Like, they're still cool. I'm not trying to hate on them. Like, I think still, like, if you make like a troll and you do like the starting experience there, it's still fine on the Echo Isles. With like, yeah, how you also fight like a Naga witch and this and that. Like, it's alright, but it would be cool to actually have a bit of troll life also in the Stranglethorn, but like friendly trolls.
Jungle, being afraid of getting ganked in the jungle, right? There's all these different animals and shit going around trying to kill you. There's these trolls over here, you know, Zul'Gurub and like all this stuff. And I think getting back to that, not like specifically those things, but I think back to that jungle feel. Because right now it just feels too chaotic. They like split it up. They did the Barrens thing where they split it up. You know, there's whirlpools, there's like damage, there's like, I think the biggest thing with the world right now is there's just too much damage everywhere. Yeah. Right? And I think nature and, you know, the
solves
world
the solution over time.
Essentially repair that, and the people living in the world. And so I think just in the grand scheme of things, I want a lot of that cataclysmic damage repaired.
To be removed, yes.
And I just want to see what it would look like. But really, I want the Mirage Raceway.
Yeah.
So that's it. Let me know in the comments section what you would love to see in a revamped Azeroth, because I would love to hear it.
They couldn't
that's
do
kind
it.
of my little wish list, and thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. If you missed the latest Pointless Top 10, it was Pointless Top 10 Gorillas. Speaking of Stranglethorn, go check it out right there. And yeah, okay.
Yo, there's so much I would like to be like revamped. Like I said, I want each allied race that does not have a city yet, like the Vulpera, Mecha. Now people can argue, oh, Vulpera have Vol'dun. Then update freaking Vol'dun. I don't want to have like 3 vegans and 5-6 NPCs stand around and that's the Vulpera home. Like, what is Vol'dun? This is a joke. I'm sorry. This is like any outpost from any race. That's not even a real city for Vulpera. And when the Vulpera joined, I asked myself during the recruitment, how many Vulpera even joined the Horde? Was it like 20 Vulpera and it's over 30? Because I have not seen many Vulpera NPCs in the game, to be honest. Now I see more Vulpera NPCs as hostile primal shamans that freaking attack us players in the Dragon Isles that I have seen on freaking Azeroth as like friendly ones, right? That's kind of weird. But you have like tons of dwarf NPCs, you have goblins everywhere, humans, you have like infinite amount almost of Nightborn everywhere, Dragon Isles, you have them in the city visit there. But some races like Vulpera are barely present. The Mecha Orcs, they have just a few standing and like stand around NPCs in Orgrimmar, then it's also over for them. The Undercity we wanted for Eternity are reworked so we can get back to the surface. Perhaps not have an Undercity, but some sort of Overcity. I'm just calling it that. Like a surface city, right? Like actual huts and buildings that are behind the walls of Lordaeron and not just single NPCs stand around there and sit on the floor. Like on the ground, it's actually very stupid. We want to have access to Gilneas, the actual city of the Worgen, and have it look cool like Stormwind in a way, right? I definitely think that the Baron should either be with more growth now from the growing that spreads, or it should be, like he said, dried out again. That would be nice. The plague lands need to be... They were actually not mentioned here, unfortunately, but I'm gonna mention them now. The plague lands, they should be cleansed now from the scourge, right? From all the poisoning done to the land, if you can call that poisoning. The decay that was spread there. Like the Cenarian Circle, they should have some success cleansing the land, and maybe half the zone should be now a normal forest. Just like the Airwind Forest or something, that would be cool. Winter Spring. This is an interesting zone because you could do so much with Winter Spring actually. You could move more dwarves over there. This is kind of like Dunmorok in a way, right? Sort of, right? But you could also perhaps put some orcs there, like the Mecha. Have some interesting quests you do for them. You could also have like some sort of, I don't know, maybe like an elf outpost there or something for the night elves. And maybe there are snow druids or something. That would be actually so cool. And you can unlock something, or like a skin customization. You get like the druids of the flame. How about we get druids of the snow or something? Or maybe it's like a hostile faction. Maybe they are actual snow elves or something. Yo, there's lots of potential. Or the restoration, or like you said, of Mirage Raceway, right? That would be so cool. And then you have like races, kind of like the dragon races. We have like with Dragonflight, but it's on the ground, and you have mounts that can go really, really fast. Or maybe you get like some sort of toy that lets you drive for 1 second some sort of fast vehicle no matter where you are. And you have like some sort of super fast ground mount for like 12 seconds or something. That would be also cool. But yeah, I have lots of ideas, and I'm sure you guys have some ideas too. So let me know in the comment section what you would like to see in a revamp. And if you guys are new to this channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content. If you guys enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give this one a thumbs up. And I will see you guys next time.